Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining. I'm Hannah Wansier. I'm the marketing specialist here at Xendoo, and I'm here going to be facilitating this webinar today. I'm here with Lil Roberts, serial entrepreneur, CEO and founder of Xendoo, and Adi, world-renowned AI expert. He is acclaimed for helping executives and organizations unlock exponential productivity and operational transformation through AI. He's been featured in Forbes, the Economic Times, and CNBC, and we are so happy to have you here. Thank you, Adi, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to be with the amazing Xendoo team who's doing so much in AI as well. You guys are rock stars.
Thank you, Adi. This is, this is Lil Roberts. Sorry about my voice today, so I'm not going to speak much, but this is the first of a series that we are going to have with Adi to educate small business owners around the United States, and also to dive into that Adi and his team offer a 10-week workshop to help you build out your productivity and to use AI for accelerated innovation. I look at AI as accelerated innovation, and there's nobody better in the world than Adi to speak on this. He has thousands, hundreds of thousands of people and companies that he's helped. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys to talk about it. But Adi, it's so great to have you here with us today. And we want to really dive in for people to walk away with nuggets of how to get started with AI and productivity. You have helped us tremendously, and we love working with your team.
Yes, and then for the audience members, feel free to leave any questions and we can address those at the end. So if Adi, you want to take it away.
Oh, brilliant. Anna, first, thank you so much for each and every one of you being here. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited for this series. I've spent a lot of time working with small and medium businesses. I was the chairman of the CI Confederation of Commerce. We had something like 40,000 members, but 80% of them were SMEs. And for me, what is amazing about what's happening in AI, this is something that was a big boys club. I sort of remember when I was first trying to get into this, it was like, yeah, Adi, if you're not going to show up with $100 million budget, go home. This is not something that you can do. Yeah, this is the Walmarts of the world. This is the top casinos. They're the guys who can put in the 100, 200 million to really get the benefits of AI. The rest of us will just have to kind of wait. And, in 2022, that light bulb went off, and, ChatGPT 3.5 comes out. And I'm running, classic old school pharmaceuticals. I'm just transitioning into real estate. And this comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, wait, how much does this cost? It's like 2 Starbucks coffees and some change, right? But the impact of it is absolutely dramatic. And I think this is a great technology for the first time that has been democratized, that is available to each and every one of us. And so, for me, this is a great opportunity for businesses everywhere to take that one-time massive leap, and at a very reasonable cost. I mean, the value add is incredible.
Absolutely. Hannah, let's get started with some questions for Adi that will give the audience a lot of knowledge, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so first, I feel like a lot of business owners maybe, or company members may be confused about whose responsibility really is it to implement AI in the business and why?
That's a great question. And, I've done about 9,500 CEOs trained. We've done thousands of companies where we are working with Transformed, with VJAL Institute. I set this up about 2 years ago because what we really wanted to do was to get companies to be internally capable of doing this, not having to constantly hire outside help and consultants. You still need that a little bit, but feel confident in themselves that this is something they can do. So I have some great news and I have some bad news. So the great news is that the older you are, the better you are at AI. And this is something very different than we've seen in any technology revolution for a while, right? It's always, hey, this is, something new in tech. This is the young people's things. we have to find some young person, or the youngest person in our team is the one who's really going to drive this. But, so that's the great news. The bad news is the older you are, the better you're going to be at AI. So you can't outsource it. And this is what I see companies doing all the time. They're saying, Addy, kind of just get this young intern or the youngest person on the team. They're young. They know this AI stuff. They say they know it really well, and they can show me some stuff at ChatGPT, and, let them do it. Or even worse, people think this is a tech thing. Oh, this is tech, right? Now, if you come to a VJAL coaching or a workshop, each and every one of you, 60-year-old chairman of the board, or, your owner of your own business, you're going to be able to make agents and, all the fancy AI stuff in like 15, 20 minutes. It's not that hard. But here's the big secret that most people don't get, all right? What the new AI, and new AI is, the new Gen AI stuff that's very different from old AI, thrives on expert perspective. As a small business owner, as a small business C-suite person, you are the person who knows your business the best. You are the person who is able to describe to AI your business, your needs, your 360 understanding of the market, your customers, and everything else. And that's what you need. When we talk about prompting, the average prompt size, which is a good prompt, is about 450 words. I know, sounds a lot. People get scared, but it's nothing but you telling it how you think, how you view the world. And so for me, the owner, CEO is the one that has to lead the charge. You can't outsource it to your IT guys. They're awesome. They know this, but again, they can't build and bring that 360 perspective. And unfortunately, you can't outsource it to the youngest people in your team, even if they think they can do it. Because imagine this, if I put you in front of an AI, even without all the fancy stuff, you know what you want? When it's giving you the wrong answer, you'll call it out. Hey, I don't like it. You know exactly what feedback to give it. Do it this way, do it that way. And whether it's, making a fool of you or it's really giving you great advice. You're experienced. You bringing that experience to the table is what really matters. And I think in terms of who leads the transformation, who does, it has to be led by the most experienced members of the team, with the support of IT, with the support of your existing members, and of course, taking your awesome young people along with you.
Awesome. Yeah. And with that being said, what systems or processes should a business have to identify the gaps of where AI could enhance productivity?
I love that question, because here's the mistake most businesses do, right? And, every time we talk to a company, and, we work with companies with 20,000 employees, we work with companies with 5, right? Our goal is to have that impact, and we're very happy to work with any size of organization. And for better or worse, everyone makes the same mistakes when they think about process, right? Everybody says, oh, show me a proof of concept, do a POC. And I've seen companies spend $10, $20 million on a POC and have gotten nothing out of it. I've seen people spend like a couple of $100K on a POC and nothing comes off it. Here's the problem. Your people and the vendor, both of you are highly motivated to come up with the most glamorous, awesome, shiny looking POC that everybody goes, wow, that is so cool. Ooh, chatbot, ooh, robot, whatever, etc. But the real question you have to ask is something very simple. Does this make me more money? Does this save me more money? And how much? And for a small business, at the end of the day, your margin is what really matters. Revenue matters, cost matters. And so one of the biggest things that we do when we work with companies, and this 10-week coaching program that we have, which is absolutely brilliant. One of the things as you go through, our focus is getting people to focus on the real world problems they actually have and seeing what they can use AI to solve it. Honestly, if you ask me, I've run small businesses before. I've done the startup stuff. I've run big businesses. The biggest thing I tell people is that don't take a hammer searching for a nail. And that's what's happening right now. People are saying, oh, AI is so cool. Let's go find things it can solve. That's the wrong way to do it. The great part is to organically come up with, where are you stuck? What are your problems? And then to see if AI can fix those. And I'm a big fan of, if it works manually, do it manually. It's working, right? AI should be able to give you 2x, 3x, 5x improvements. And it can do that very easily all across the organization. But do it if it actually makes you more money or saves you a lot of money. And the entire idea of doing a transformation is to organically figure out what that is.
Addie, amazing. Please speak to one of your great seminars. You talk about the quadrants and look to solve problems. If you could expand a little bit on that, as to that the way to prove AI and the return is to your point, is it going to be a 2x, a 4x, a 5x? But give us a couple of examples of industry problems, general small business. The audience for this webinar is small business. Small business, where could they solve some problems? How should they look at the grid lines for near term, long term?
Perfect. So, for us, we have a very 2x2. And by the way, I've used that personally for years. And this is what we do it for AI. And we look at impact level, high impact, low impact. And impact is tangible stuff, right? Revenues, margins, costs, all of that, customer delight. And then you have ease and cost. And I'm kind of blend that together, right? Because something that might be super, super easy, but it's low impact, right? And that's what we call the high temptation, but low return, right? It's super easy and cheap, but is it really giving you much, right? Then you have what I call the death zone, which is, it's really, really hard and expensive, and no one cares. And I'll tell you for a second why people end up there. And then you have those things which are like really, really, really expensive and hard, but have high impact. And people tend to get lost in those. Oh my God, it's so impactful, but then hard. We like to keep people in it's really impactful and really easy and cheap to do. And the wonderful part is for most SMEs, when we take them through a full program, by the end of 10 weeks, they can usually identify 60 to 100 small projects or small things they can do in AI that kind of fit right there. And the biggest encouragement for us is to get companies and people and individuals across the companies to solve the problems themselves, to get them from 0 to 80%. And then maybe, and some companies say, look, 80% is good enough. We're already there. For some people, you might want to pick up a couple of these problems every month and push it to 100%, but then you're making sure they're high impact. They're making sure they're easy and cheap. The low-hanging fruit stuff works really well here. And again, the focus is on making sure that you pick the right stuff to do and sort of roadmap that out very, very cleanly. And we like 30, 60, 90-day roadmaps. I love the 5 years horizon, but AI changes every month.
And can you share a use case of a company you did so recently? Just one, an industry that may be common to a lot of people, and what were some quick and easy wins? And then we'll go back to some.
Happy to look at 2 or 3 very easy ones. So one example is, for example, lead scoring, right? We had a couple of people in sort of the brokerage and real estate markets. Lots of leads coming in. How do we pick which ones to call? SMEs, we can't call every lead. And they had one guy who really knew how to score leads, right? This is the guy, right? Now you ask them, how do you know it's a good lead or a bad lead? And they'll give you about a 2-hour lecture. And then there's 5 other people who are kind of like, okay, he's the guy, right? I was literally creating a simple bot. This guy just built the bot, putting everything he knew about scoring leads in the real estate market, right? There was no fancy algorithms or things, just everything he knew. And they made one of the best lead scoring bots I've ever seen. They just built it themselves, just by this guy's knowledge. And now this put in all leads, it pretty much like 95% accuracy gets it right. My second favorite example is, and this is going well beyond. So we use these to start off with the C-suite. This is when I changed my mind 2 years ago. We had a company which said, we're going to put everybody through this program, and that includes warehouse employees, right? And we never really had that. And said, okay, that's great. And you have like inventory guy number 7, right? No-name person in a warehouse who just who puts every bit of knowledge he has about warehouse operations. And I think they saved like $3 million in costs because that bot's able to just quickly optimize. And we're looking at this and we're like, wow, this is like a major consulting project this guy just did. Another one of my favorites is a small bakery. They have like 5 or 7 outlets. And this guy, store manager number 7 or 8, 20 years there, puts everything he knows about waste. And they basically now figured out how to eliminate 30 to 40% of all extra waste, because they could predict exactly the number of croissants people are going to buy that day. And again, these are normally complicated algorithms and machine learnings, but the new AI really supports a human understanding of the business and experience and allows you to scale that. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of examples. I mean, social, like, just last 6 months, we've seen companies, social media campaigns, right? This to hire agencies, which would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now they just use them to verify them, right? They become sort of the auditors of it. And their own internal people are just launching campaign after campaign after campaign, very, very smoothly. Unbelievable. And for business owners, we've seen an entire suite of just the audit bots, right? Like, what would the boss say about this? And by the way, you can't make the boss bot. Everyone, I apologize, everyone tries, you can't do it. But you can say, what would the boss think about this particular thing? Would they pass this expense or not? Would they pass this social media campaign? Would they give this leave approval or not? And because if they can put their thinking into the bot, suddenly they become the first line. And so you save a huge amount of time. Now, some of the other obvious ones, which I love, customer service ones, you can now create, there's this, I couldn't hear the name, but there's small business guys, they run boat tours, right, in the US. And what they figured out was that 95% of the phone calls is just 10 questions, right? When's the tour? How do I get a refund? Like, just 10, 15 questions I from the call. But the problem is, get so many tourists, it's in like 20, 30 languages, no one can understand. It took them about an hour in class and just us helping them to create a very quick call center bot that could answer the phone in 80 languages and just very effectively answer those 10 questions. And if not, say, look, I'll take a message and we'll get back to you. And that just completely allowed them to have 24-hour call center coverage for 80, 90% of their questions. This is fantastic. So, I mean, I could go on and on. There are unbelievable examples that SMEs can do. But again, it has to matter. This is what I love. Great stories, but do you need this? Will it impact your margins? Will it help you? And that's what I love focusing on, is taking your actual problems and your actual business model and getting AI to get you 2 to 3x, not just like 5% or 10%.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, AI, can impact a business so positively. It can really enhance productivity and time like nothing we've ever seen before. But with that, implementing any new technology or AI, there must be guardrails that businesses put in place as well. So what do you recommend when it comes to guardrails that businesses should use when implementing AI?
That's right. We work with a lot of banks. And the first people who they send to us is the compliance guys. Hey, here's all the compliances, here's everything else, can this do this? I'll tell you the long and short of it. There are only 2 questions you need to ask when using AI. Do you trust the company and why? And what have they promised you? And by the way, that applies to anything. That applies to whatever software you're using. That applies to the person who's painting your house, right? Do you trust them and why? And what have they promised that they'll do to you? And for small businesses, in 2025, going into 2026, this is pretty easy. Data privacy, security, governance, all of this is the #1 ask for the last 2 to 3 years from every business of all sizes from the AI companies, and they've stepped up. So the first, open all, don't worry, guys, you can get as paranoid as you want about your data. And yes, everybody understands that, and there are simple, easy ways for you to do the guardrails. But the second, what I really want you guys to think about is just know that you already have some sort of governance guardrails for any tech you're using, whether your ERP, CRM, your computers, your all of that. It's no different from AI. AI is just another app. People try to make it out into something very fancy. Ooh, it's learning this, that. Not at all. It's the same assurances you would ask from any IT vendor, is the same assurances you'd ask from AI vendors. The only additional thing which I will say, though, is that as part of the transformation, we do work with companies on creating those governance and guardrail rules, right? Because it's not just you. You'll be interacting with other customers and other ecosystems who may have irrational concerns about AI, and you do have to manage them in a great way. The big recommendation that we do to everybody, and I've told this to a top 20 bank, I've told it to every SME, is that don't focus on the AI, focus on what your concerns are. Make a list, a compliance list. I must do this, 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 this. and then check it off one by one. You'll find that most tools can do that, but certainly they need to adapt to your situation. So I wouldn't worry too much. But yes, having guardrails for you, for your clients, for your people is important, and do take the little extra moment to do it. But again, don't panic about it. It's just a checklist you need to go through.
Yeah, so after hearing about all of these success stories, all of this positivity about AI, I'm sure everyone here wants to implement it in their business starting right now if they haven't already. So what's the first steps for training that a company should provide to their team to ensure that the implementation of AI is safe and proper?
So, for me, AI, it feels like 1999, right? And I feel like boardrooms are discussing, should we give everybody an email address or Wi-Fi? Right. So it's kind of those conversations. And those of you who are old enough remember those times. That was an actual conversation people were having, is that, does everyone need internet access? Does everyone need to have this thing? Right. And then, like 6-7 years later, people are like, yeah, okay, there's. And then we had the BlackBerry era. Everyone gets a BlackBerry. You can't use anything else. You have to use a BlackBerry because of safety, security, right? We're blowing past that, right? Look, basic AI stuff, right? Having access to an LLM, whether it's a Gemini, a ChatGPT, a Copilot, whatever, is now table stakes, right? That's you have to give people access to a computer. They have to have access to some sort of word processor, Excel sheet, and have to have some kind of access to AI. So I think allowing people to have access and to use it and enable it is the first step. I joke with a lot of people that, when I do this, by the way, I do this with small companies, with large companies. In large companies, I'll put up a thing on the back with like an anonymous clicker and say, how many of you are using AI such as blah, 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 blah? The vote is 0. And then I say, how many of you are lying to your managers and using AI? And it's like 99%, right? So, everyone is on your company's already probably using AI. You're probably using AI. I think the first step is giving them permission, right? Getting 1 or 2 AIs that you have trusted, you've gone down your checklist, you're happy with, give them access so they can start using it in a positive, safe way. Have a bunch of do's and don'ts at your level of compliance that you feel comfortable with. Explain to people why or why not. I think if you have a rational, easy AI policy, we think most companies we see follow it. I think that's the first step. The second one is, AI is very much like anything else. It's a cultural transformation. It's not a tech transformation, right? It's still about, starting to use it. I remember, I'm like old enough to remember an entire generation of people who refused to use computers. No, my secretary will check the email and they will do the web thingy, right? And the only time they learned it because when they had to like Skype with their grandkids or something, right? That was sort of the attitude. There was an entire generation which like retired maybe 10 years ago, still had. I think that's the main thing, is really convincing your top people, you yourself, that the older you are, the better you're going to be at AI. And so the second thing is to just use it a lot. Yes, I think getting training programs like at the VJAL Institute and to do the coaching programs where you have 10 weeks of really getting a coach to sit with your people and help them through week after week after week is habit forming. And so give people access. And second, really push for them to change the way they work to do it. We see a lot of people get very excited, but then it really takes them to push all their people in their team to start doing this together so they can actually get the productivity. But I'll tell you another secret. Every time we've gone into a company, we've always found like there's like 1 or 2 people who've gone full in, and you'll never predict them because they're not the most techie people. And they just do half an hour of work every day and do nothing for the rest of the day because, they haven't told anyone they've gone all in. They've already hit like the super productivity and they're just secretly hiding and they're doing everything with AI and they're getting all the awards and all the top stuff. So trust me, you have a couple of people in your company who are already using AI for everything. Go find them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then finally, with your expertise, do you have any recommendations for businesses to start off with any AI platforms, anything in particular for the 4 pillars of business? So whether that's in the finance side, the marketing, sales side, the operations side, is there any particular platforms that you recommend?
So honestly, there are so many great tools out there. I do want to tell everyone that again, and I use the age of the BlackBerry again, right? at some point, we all woke up and said, this is not a thing. People use whatever mobile phone you want, and we'll kind of support that, right? And I think big businesses are certainly having a very hard time transitioning to this notion that, oh, we won't have one AI. We're going to have lots of different AIs. And this is something for SMEs, I think, are a lot more flexible, right? I would pick the AI that your particular function or team needs to get the job done, right? And so, for example, if today you're looking at social media or marketing, making posts, Gemini 3 Pro, which just came out a few weeks ago, is probably the number one. It's cheap. It's included with your Google plan if you have it, and that's fantastic. If you're looking at a very general purpose one, ChatGPT is still really good at just pushing through a lot of stuff you need to do, analytics, thinking through all of that. If you have some coders, maybe one or two developers, Claude is fantastic for that. But then there are also some specialized tools, whether it's in like a Gamma for presentation making or all of these that are out. But I highly recommend try before you buy. One of the reasons why I don't like to name specific tools is that, I'll name them, and sometimes it's such a personal preference, and people use them to, Addy, I hated this. Why do you recommend this? I'm like, well, it worked for the other guy. It might not work for you. So please try before you buy, really put it through its paces. But I would think of AI as having, usually most companies who we work with get one general purpose AI, which they do across, and it doesn't matter. Gemini, again, if you're a Google shop, just go with Gemini. It's free with your subscription, or a Copilot or a ChatGPT all across, and then specific tools for specific outcomes that one or two people in your teams might add. And so usually 1+1 works great to start out with. And even with these, I mean, there's about a year's worth of amazing things you can do just with these two platforms.
Addy, in the last couple of minutes here, if you would share with the audience, and we're going to be publishing this content out over, throughout, share with us, the 10-week program that your company is doing. And, after you've traveled the world and trained close to 1 million people, 9,500 CEOs, I've been to 3 of your classes, and we've implemented everything that you teach us. I've brought my team of 11 to one of your classes. So talk to us about the 10-week program and how the impact that, what is the program? How do we get in touch? How do people who want to train their teams? What businesses is it for? And what are they going to learn in that 10 weeks?
Absolutely, guys. So the 10-week program is something that came up, to be fair, very much by accident. Our goal 2 years ago, when we started the VJAL Institute as a social impact mission, was we need to get to our 1 million people totally trained and using AI. And we started this by, getting train the trainer programs, getting lots of people trained on this. And we would do half day, 1 day, 2 day full trainings. Great. People would get inspired. Everything was hands-on, so they would leave with practical things they could go back and do. And what we found was about 30% of people actually did anything with it, right? And the worst was when they would go back, they would sound like crazy people, right? They would be telling their teams, oh my God, AI, 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 AI. And they're like, yeah, you and every other CEO at Davos is talking about AI. And their ability to actually get their teams motivated and use it. So we tried lots of different things, 1-week programs, double-day trainings, multiple. And our most successful was the 10-week program, which is what we standardized. And it's a very simple program. It's 10 weeks. Each week, all your teams does is they take 45 minutes to 1 hour of online instructions. It's AI me and other people just walking you through stuff, very small modules, 7 or 10 minutes, bite size each. And then you meet with a coach for 90 minutes in teams of 12 to 15 people or less, and you present what you did that week. And so every week, you're sort of taking what you've learned and then building something using it in your organization. It starts off very slow. So you could have people who are very advanced at AI or people who know nothing about it, but then it gradually ramps up to the point. By week 5 or 6, everyone's making their own bots and agents. By week 7, they're sitting and building their own apps. And the confidence it gives people that they can do it. But I'll tell you the secret sauce here. A couple of quick things. One, habit forming. Week after week after week. Why 10 weeks? We say it takes 10 weeks for a person to go from AI curious to AI serious. I'm using it every day. Second, it's just 2 to 3 hours virtually every week. no excuses. It's really cheap to run. You don't have to rent a conference room. People are traveling, stuff happens. They can at least log in for 90 minutes to get on a call. Third, it's a culture transformation. Everyone's rethinking every week how they're doing the job. We have clients who come to us and say, forget the AI, just the fact that everybody spent each week thinking about their jobs and how to do this better itself pushed us up to the next level. The AI, of course, added to that. And the fourth part, what we see, we now have AI agents who kind of sit inside this and record everything that's happening. And the business owners, they get these reports. And it's a full analysis of what people are feeling, how they're doing, the psychoanalysis of what they're, who's in, who's out. One goes to the actual people in the workshop. A separate one goes to the coach. Each one is assigned a team is assigned a personal coach who sort of walks them through here, who's talking, who's not, how are they feeling. These reports are amazing. And so a lot of companies, and we just had one SME, they put 500 people through this, and they went all in. And I was seeing the scene, it's like, Addy, just the reports themselves on first time seeing how everybody in my teams interact, how they're doing, how they're feeling themselves was such a revelation for HR to be able to go through all of these and be able to, respond. And by the end of those 10 weeks, what do you end up with, right? Each team which is sent through has come up with, 10 into how many ever use cases, right? So you normally get, anything between 20 to 30 to 50 use cases from each team, and they've already built it. And so there's no struggle to use the software, they built it. And so if you build it, you're going to kind of use it. And so then the race becomes which one do you take to the top rather than, which one. And of course, we do inter-team competitions, people get competitive. We don't call it peer pressure, we call it peer acceptance. So there is a bit of that. So people take it seriously. But I could go on. It's our most successful, low touch, high impact program. And I think we've done now about 300 companies on it. We're signing up another 200-300 in the next couple of months. It's absolutely a spectacular experience. I highly recommend it out of everything else we do.
Love it. Love it. I love the curious to serious. There was somebody who asked a question, but I believe you just answered it. They asked, 10 weeks is a long time. Why can't you do it in one day? And I believe there's so much more impact that happens over 10 weeks. So truly amazing, very amazing.
We love the one day kickoffs, very inspirational, gets people motivated in the mood. Then we want it to stick, right? We really want the business to feel the impact week after week after week. And by the way, everyone asks us about ROI. After week 2, no one's talking about ROI. You've already got all the ROI of the entire program week 1 and 2, just on the sheer amount of productivity and benefits you're getting. The tools themselves cost 2 Starbucks coffees at this point, right? And so if you can even save 10 hours of any one time in your team a week, an average white collar worker around the world is $15 to $20. In the US can go up to about $60 to $70, depending, even higher. Multiply by that 10, you're saving hundreds of dollars a week. Right? By the time you hit, a month or 2 months, a year, you're saving $15, $20, $30,000. The ROI is insane. I've never seen something like this in my life before.
How much is your program, Addy?
So just
the 10-week program. What do you guys charge for the US?
So the US, it's so our standard pricing for a team, which is a high-end team, 12 to 15 people, is around $25,000. We do discount it down for SMEs, so do call us. We fully understand, different parts of the US, different teams require different things. So our teams are very happy to chat.
Perfect. And Hannah will include the way to contact you guys at the end of this. I'm going to go to Hannah to close out. You've been so gracious, Addy. We want to kick this series off for the incoming year and do a monthly, pick a lot of different fun topics for people that will impact their businesses. So we hope to see you soon again. If we can find half an hour on your very busy schedule and see if we can impact thousands of SMEs over the coming year and bring hundreds and hundreds of groups of companies for the 10-week program.
I'm always excited to help SMEs. I'm always excited about AI. And next year is going to be such an amazing year for companies to do transformation. So I'm all in, and I hope everybody else who is listening in will be too.
Yes, Adi, thank you so much for your time today. We cannot wait to make this a series. And for all of the participants, we'll be sending a follow-up email with ways to contact Adi and ways to get involved with that 10-week program, along with how you can access this recording if you had to leave early or missed the session. So Lil and Adi, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone.